Outdoors, because tonight we're talking about the 2025 Ford Maverick, and I think I've got, in my opinion, a main expert when it comes to really getting in and finding those real small technical details that can actually make a big difference on ownership experience. So don't be fooled. Watch from beginning to the end. We're going to be covering, of course, all the differences with the Ford Maverick. We'll be talking about prices, different changes, the huge changes on the 2025 Ford Maverick. And of course, I'm happy I've got my good friend Duane from Driven Wild Outdoors. Don't forget to subscribe to his channel because you'll see why tonight. Duane's going to give us some really good nitty gritty technical stuff that you won't get on pretty much any channel, very, very few channels on YouTube. And Duane, I watched your oil video. I've watched pretty much all of your videos, and you often really get down and really cover some stuff that it's very, very hard to find that info on the internet.
What is that? Do you hear that noise there? I'm getting some feedback.
Oh, no, we're good.
Yeah, I had some feedback here, so who knows? Let's turn this off here. You're using this this kind of technology I don't use here, Johnny. I'm used to StreamYard. Now I heard a little bit of feedback on the.
No worries at all, my friend. So, whenever you can jump in at any point during the show this evening, because I know you've got great technical information to share. So tonight we're covering the 2025 Ford Maverick. I even have the price list for Canada. Duane's probably at some point going to jump in and talk prices, going to cover a lot of the options that we need to cover. And Duane, thank you for coming on the show and taking on my new technology. So I'm getting Duane out of his regular technology because I always have trouble with StreamYard. And well, Duane's having a little bit more trouble when it comes to YouTube, but he's going to get right in with it. So we've got a good show for you tonight, folks. We're going to be covering, well, we've got the order guide right here. Duane has his order guide as a printed copy. Same here. So we're going to be going through everything with you folks. All the nitty gritty. We'll also look at the differences between models because really our goal tonight is to make sure you don't get fooled, cover all the technical stuff, and also really help you pick out the right model. Just as an example, in the order guide, it often as the build and price website, it'll have you think that if you want Co-Pilot 360, you have to pay. And there's actually a good base Co-Pilot 360 system that's standard. So that's just a little tidbit of the type of stuff we're going to be covering tonight. We want everyone to, well, save money and not overpay their Maverick because they think they've got to go up to a certain trim to get a certain amount of money. So yeah, we're here to make sure y'all don't get fooled. Duane, how's your sound?
That sounds good. Now that I keep hearing this talk like 2 minutes ago coming back. So listen, Johnny, I want to talk about the major product changes. When you look at the Maverick, you and Tim are definitely the experts on it. When I look at the Maverick, suddenly now I am more excited about it, right? And I think that Ford just needs to be careful they don't price this vehicle to a point to where it becomes unaffordable like a lot of the other ones to a lot of people. But we started at what, 19.5 or 20,000 plus destination, and now it's 26 plus destination. However, I think that what they have done for 25 is going to open this up to more buyers, especially with the trimmer now being its own package. Also with the all-wheel drive hybrid, that's the kind of stuff that I really like. It's a matter of fact, I want to try to find a place in our company for one of these. Something I'm going to do a video on that.
I think it's yes, and folks, some point tonight, check out Driven Wild Outdoors. Subscribe to that channel, Duane. I promise the Maverick community here that Duane does really a fantastic job of covering all the technical specs. But you'll see that this evening. But yes, the hybrid all-wheel drive is what people have been asking for, and it's great to see that Ford delivered. They delivered the all-wheel drive. They also listened to the complaints in regards to the interior. So, the XLT, those orange accents that a lot of people had trouble with, we're now going with Grabber Blue. I've always been on the fence and have always almost bought a Grabber Blue Mustang. Every time I shop a Mustang, I'm always looking at Grabber Blue. I had a great Grabber Blue pickup truck.
Yeah.
And I had one Mustang that was a Grabber Blue, and it is a great color, and I think it's a good accent color for an interior.
Yeah, it's definitely Johnny. You've got a comment there says I don't hear it here. I don't know if you might want to make sure in the comments everybody can hear both of us. Um, but the Grabber Blue is, I had the Dark Horse with the Grabber Blue, and I mean it is bright. So you start looking at accents for inside. I don't know. I think to me because I like Grabber Blue, I think it's a nice addition. So
Yeah,
you know, I would say. Okay, somebody said we can hear us. Now let's just get on with the show. So I think that the changes they've done, I hear complaints about the hard plastics and things like this inside, but you have to remember what price range of a vehicle are we in? And so Ford does have to try to keep stuff down, to a point. But then there's also something to be said about those harder plastics. Is you take a vehicle like this, I think it adds some durability to me.
absolutely.
Maybe, can someone say, well, maybe it scratches or something like that? I don't know. Um, but I like that they concentrated, it seems, the improvement on the technology with the infotainment screen, especially increasing it in size, and with the all-wheel drive, the hybrid all-wheel drive, and you know what, 4K towing. So I'm glad they spent the money in those areas versus just putting the bling inside the cabin.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And I can to talk about durability because, well, I used to work for a small town, and we had work trucks, and as town workers
Hmm.
used and abused those trucks. And if you go back to the 2000s with F-150, when they had softer, more comfortable seats, they'd wear out quicker. Now that we've got harder seats, they last longer. They don't just, kind of lose their stability, their
Yeah.
capacity to hold weight. Well, the same thing is true for, let's say, having a leather dash or some more soft material versus the hard plastics. I just sold a used Fusion, and in the back seat, it was great. It was a titanium Fusion, so of course the door panel sills were the soft touch. And well, because someone probably either maybe they moved the TV, they moved something in the back seat, and it went right through that soft touch. And when you have a Maverick covered in hard plastics, yeah, you're going to get some scratches, but you're never going to go right through the material. So we're going to be covering all the models tonight. We're going to be covering all the prices, and we're going to be covering the differences between models. And Duane, if you're able to see questions go by, and if it's
Yep.
really if it's pertinent to the topic we're currently on, throw it into the mix. But we'll
Well,
also be talking.
I'm sorry, Johnny. There's actually one have the order banks open. Didn't they open today?
Yes, order banks, even in Canada, which usually we're quite slow and behind, even up to sometimes 2, 3 weeks. Well, we were able to in the morning. We could not. The order banks were not open, but around 1:15, the order banks opened. We can't. We have to use sort of the older system. It's kind
Yeah.
of like the DOS system, but we can get an order in to the factory. So I'll be putting in an order tomorrow morning. But I can tell you that the system is ready in Canada, and I would believe if it's ready in Canada, the United States probably got it 36 or 35% quicker, just like it's the exchange rate on time.
Yeah. Uh, do you? I don't want to cut in front of you here with if you had sort of a flow of this. Can we jump into the mechanical side of this just from the get go?
Yeah, actually, how about we start if we're gonna do that as we start off with the order guide, because we'll start talking about the XL. What's standard on this truck? Because one of the main goals
Okay.
for Duane and I is to help you order the right Maverick. And if you've already ordered your Maverick, it's okay because you're gonna
Yeah.
have likely your Maverick's not getting scheduled right away, and you probably have 1 to 2, maybe even 3 months to make changes on your order. Once you can no longer make your changes to your order, is when you've been assigned a VIN number. Sometimes that's when it blocks out and you can no longer make changes. And sometimes it's a little later on in the process because usually you get assigned a VIN number and a build date, which will be about 2 months out. Well, sometimes even up to the last week before production, you can make changes. But usually by then, often it's none, or it's something really simple such as color. But even color can get blocked out a month early. So everyone probably has roughly at least a month, maybe up to 3 months, even if they put in the order. So this is going to be pertinent to everyone. Let's head over to that order guide, and we're going to get Duane to come in with the technicals here. So Duane, you want to talk about, I think it was powertrains.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so if you look at and this, I guess this would be considered standard is hybrid front wheel drive,
Right.
um, and a hybrid all wheel drive is new, right, for this year. And then you have the 2.0. Now, something's interesting. It looks like the 2.0 went from 250 horsepower to 238. I don't know if that was something to do with MPGs or was that because they want to save another trim level to have that higher horsepower, right?
Like
So,
the Lobo model, because
Lobo,
the Lobo is made to
exactly.
be a powerful street truck.
Sure. Well, is it going
It's
to be the
interesting.
250 though that we're used to, or is it going to be the 238 that now your other trims XL all the way, to all the way down? So, in other words, if you're going with the 2.0 EcoBoost, that's the difference here. The 2.5 hybrid's a different scenario. I think it's 197, Johnny, I believe. Actually, I'm going to take you right over to that right now. We're going to talk about it. So, on the I guess on the different trim levels, I just want to make sure we don't. Here we go. Engine. So compression ratio. That's interesting, by the way. The compression ratio on a 2.5 with a hybrid's 13 to 1. That's like hot rod material, and it's almost 11 to 1 in the 2.0. But it looks here targeted horsepower. So I guess they haven't officially released that yet. So it looks like 191 horsepower on the 2.5 hybrid and 238 horsepower on the 2.0. I just think it's interesting, something to find out
Yeah.
why they dropped it.
Yeah, no,
So,
I'd be curious to find out as well. And I wouldn't think it would have to do with that. Well, no, because the EcoBoost model doesn't have any added new strains on the transmission. Because I know the transmission on the Maverick, the current transmission on the EcoBoost, it's not. I don't want to say it's maxed out as if it's dangerous to be running the power and torque that it
right.
does, but it's not a transmission made to do 350 horsepower. It's getting near the end of its limits. And speaking of the Lobo, so who knows? You bring up a really good point about the power, and you said maybe it's being saved for a model. That's a great. You're letting me come in and drop the sort of the big. Thank you for letting me drop the big part of this. So yeah, if we do get the 250 or more horsepower, I like how you said, but maybe it's more to make it even more impressive. Because yes, the
Sure.
Lobo is going to be a top trim. We're going to see that in the order guide as they go through price. So if we talk about pricing, I've got the Canadian pricing. So if you have American pricing, please throw it in. You mentioned 26,295 or $255 now for the XL. Yes, in 2021, it did start at 19,989, but that's always without transport and destination of roughly about $2,200. But in Canada, the XL, of course, you mentioned it. We're now starting off. Last year, we had to pay extra money to get the hybrid. That was new to 2024. Now that we're back in 2025, you got the standard traditional hybrid. So, folks, this isn't a plug-in hybrid. I hope no one was expecting it to be a plug-in hybrid. Back in October 2021, I always said
Yeah.
that I felt that it'd be a mid-model refresh is when we would get the hybrid model, and then later on a plug-in. So we've got $34,500 for that front wheel drive plug-in. And what's the cost to jump to all-wheel drive? Well, it's 37,000. So you've got a nice little jump there of correct me if I'm wrong in my math, but $2,500 price jump. And I think in the States, in the US, you're just under $2,500 to jump to the all-wheel drive, or is it the same price?
So I'm looking at this. Some of these numbers may be skewed a little bit because they were early on. I know the XLT is 30,390, but now if we look at hybrid all-wheel drive, I do not have that number in front of me.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, that's a traditional hybrid. Ford finally, I really liked how on their website originally they were putting it out and publicizing it as a CVT. And I was always saying, no, that's technically wrong. CVT is to denote a transmission that's either belt or chain driven, but essentially that's, the central part of the transmission is just a belt or a chain. And they've overall across the automobile industry haven't been it's not the best design. It saves manufacturers a lot of money, but they're not the best design when it comes
Yeah.
to reliability. They're great for fuel economy, but they're not so good. I'd even say in many cases quite bad. I personally feel that the Honda CRV went from being one of the most reliable SUVs to being kind of average because of that CVT transmission being pretty shoddy, in my opinion. Don't sue me, bro, to Honda. But
Yeah.
Ford has an ECVT. So that's a transmission that was originally built with Toyota, and it's very similar to what's in the Toyota Prius. And time will prove, but I can tell you that's going to be a very bulletproof transmission with very few that go haywire, but generally very bulletproof and long lasting. But yeah, right up here, I love it how we've got the Lobo looking pretty good, of course. I believe, we've been talking about this. We had the spy photos, the grill's a little different. Oh, it's not to everyone's taste, but the wheels, I haven't heard very many people, most people say they love those wheels. And then in the back, you've got the Tremor, the blue Maverick here. You can tell that's the Tremor because of the little orange accent on the wheels, so they're continuing on with that look. But these are pretty high-end trims, and I think it would make sense for Ford to kind of bring people into those higher trims to say, hey, you're getting an extra whatever it ends up being, 20, 30, 40 horsepower, help people to spend those extra dollars.
Hey Johnny, what about the wheels on the sort of the turbo fan looking wheels, kind of Escort rally cars? Remember those?
Yeah.
And what about it? Was it the SVT similar? Didn't they have a similar wheel?
Are you talking about like a
Way.
contour SVT?
The Mustang. I mean, what was it? The turbo one,
Oh, the four-cylinder
not
turbo from like 1982 or so, or
or
thereabout,
or
82 or
or
83.
90s or whatever it was. Yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of that. I think those wheels though are, I don't know. They're really sharp looking. I mean, they're definitely different. If you think about wheels now, you always see the sort of the web spoke looking wheels, on Mustangs and stuff like that and other cars. I think that wheel is overused, if you ask me. Not by the Mustang, but I mean by all aftermarket.
Absolutely.
So I think that wheel right there is different enough that people are just like, "Wow, where'd that come from?" I think it's cool though. The grill's interesting. Definitely not a lot of blockage for debris, big rocks hitting the radiator.
No, that is
But
lowered. That is lowered.
yeah, but you're going to have plenty of cooling, right? At least uh, I don't think induction's a big thing on this, like it is say on the Raptor, Bronco, the F-150, or Ranger. But I would say it's more like for cooling as well. Um, interesting. Are we the batteries are water cooled, I believe. Battery cooling system, liquid. Okay, so it's a liquid cooling system for the batteries. Battery location, passenger side, under cabin. Hmm.
Yeah, it's that's why when you've got the EcoBoost model, when you flip up the back seat, you have two little cubbies for storing things. Whereas when you go to the hybrid, the rear
Battery.
passenger cubby is no longer there. That's where they put the battery. The battery isn't very big and doesn't add very much weight to the vehicle, and it's actually quite impressive. The all-wheel drive hybrid is now in the city. It was, of course, front-wheel drive only and continues to be 42 miles per gallon. And now we've got 40 miles per gallon in the city with all-wheel drive. So this thing still gets better fuel economy than a Honda Civic. And I haven't shopped Honda Civics because I have good taste, but I would believe that it's still probably under the price or right around the price of a Honda Civic with better fuel economy. And I say that jokingly. I actually like the lower trim and middle trim models of Honda Civics. I just think the top of the line Honda Civic is so unbelievably out there that, well, John Cena has one, but John Cena is also a pretty out there character. He
Yeah.
one award ceremony. He went out, was it in a dress or was it that he went out naked? I guess it depends
Uh,
on which award ceremony. So
yeah, I don't probably a dress or something. I don't know. Hey, speaking of something other than that, MPGs. You know what I really like is the fact that if, let's see, if you're the hybrid all-wheel drive, you only lose two MPGs versus the hybrid front-wheel drive. So you're,
Fantastic.
I mean, and look, 40 miles per gallon, 42 miles per gallon. I mean, still, we're talking 40 plus miles. And that is not bad fuel economy as well. So I definitely take the 40 to have the hybrid all-wheel drive and the performance of that. So I think definitely they're on to something for this. And, kudos to Ford for just congratulating Ford for listening to the buyers and what they wanted. And I think that a lot of people wanted this, the all-wheel drive hybrid, and they got it.
Oh yeah. We've been from day one, the community here, whether it's at Tim Bart's Long MacArthur Ford or over on
Yep.
my channel, Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. We both have done hundreds and hundreds of videos on the Ford Maverick. And a reoccurring theme is I'm waiting for an all-wheel drive hybrid or I would change. Back to October 2021, the question was, where's the all-wheel drive hybrid? And I said, well, yes, the Ford Escape has all-wheel drive hybrid, and it also has plug-in. And because it's the same platform, I said, this is the type of thing, already there's too much demand. So why put out even more of your goodies right up front and get more people frustrated because they can't get what they want? I said, they'll use it to refresh the excitement, bring new people in the Ford Maverick.
Yep.
It's been very impressive, the hybrid model. Over a little over 60% of the people that buy a hybrid Maverick are coming from other brands. And I can attest to this. I see it. We pick up, it's wild. Honda, Toyota. At Ford,
Yeah.
we weren't converting people from Honda or Toyota unless they decided to start pulling big boy toys, like campers, like real campers. If they're done with their little little tent camper that they picked up used for $1,000 and it's covered in mold. Well, when they're ready for the big boy toys and ready to spend some big boy money, well, then they'd
Super
come and get a
Duty.
big boy Ford truck. But now we're getting people from all over. And the
Yeah.
Mach-E is actually another example. The Mach-E, we're taking in Land Rover, Mercedes, Audi, a lot of BMWs. So it's
Wow.
an interesting time at Ford, and I'm happy that Ford isn't just sitting back and saying, you know what, we're selling so many of these Mavericks. Let's save money. Let's not do anything. Instead, they went out, they spent a ton of money because in the first few months of the year, so far, Ford has sold, I believe it's now over 80,000 Mavericks already in 2024. And this 2025 with the all-wheel drive hybrid is going to bring in a
Wow.
lot of people. And yes, it's more money. If people who are looking at a 2024 Maverick hybrid, and then they look at the all-wheel drive version, they're going to say, wow, the price went up so much. Well, the prices didn't go up that much unless you're not considering what you're getting more. If you're not considering you're getting, all-wheel drive with that hybrid, then yeah, it makes it look like the price went up. But I feel about $2,500 to go all-wheel drive is actually it's it's not it's not expensive. It's not given, but $2,500 to get an all-wheel drive. Well, you remember you and I were shopping vehicles, 10, 15, and 20 years ago. And back
Yep.
then, if you wanted to go to an all-wheel drive powertrain, you're dropping, usually it just wasn't offered. It was like, here's your front wheel drive Fusion, here's your front wheel drive Taurus. And
Right.
you had to go out and buy something more like a BMW and spend a ton of money to get that all-wheel drive out of your sedan. And here we've got an
And then
all-wheel
have to deal
drive
with the
truck,
added maintenance costs.
of course.
Hey, Johnny,
Now,
this is in your wheelhouse here, I think. Uh, okay, so if we look at someone they wanted the all-wheel drive Maverick, but they say they bought a 23. They're in it at a lower interest rate and they purchased the initial cost was lower. Do you think Do you think that for a lot of people will be enough to get them into a higher interest rate and pay a higher initial cost, as in trading in, say, that 23 Maverick?
if trade-in values on Mavericks continue to stay, they were outrageous a year ago, of course, but if they continue to
Yep.
stay healthy, because this is one of the vehicles on the market with, one of the best resale values. If resale values stay high, 23 or 22 Mavericks will be tradable. And they will be very reasonable, even if you financed on a longer period of time, such as 72 months or even 84 months, your trade-in value should should relatively cover your amount owing, even if you didn't put a very big cash down at the beginning. So people are going to be in a relatively good position to trade. The people I'll feel they're not in a good position to trade is, let's say you financed 84 months and now 2 years have gone by. So you're at 7 years and now you have 5 years left of payment. Of course, if you look at a 2025 on only 5 years, yeah, your price is going to go much higher because you're going to an overall higher financed amount. But
Right.
if you go back to your original payments that you're currently on, if you're currently on 84 months and you go back to an 84 months, your payments will probably go up a little, but it's definitely worth sitting down to look at. If you're leasing, you're probably in a pretty darn good position to trade. Now,
So,
just looking, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was going back to, we talked about the MPG and the interest rate. That was a big one there. When we were talking about the transmission earlier, the CVT, there are upgrades to that transmission this year. So hardware wise, I think they've addressed something. I don't know what, but I do remember hearing
Yeah,
that.
beefed it up,
Uh,
but they're not telling us yet how they beefed it up.
right, that's right. So I would assume that, some of they keep a good handle. I know they do with the dark horses when something goes wrong, because I had a battery. Well, I had one of the battery issues, right? The Had a long shelf life. The battery was almost a year old. Anyway, it went bad in the car about 2 weeks after I got it, and yeah, they knew about it. It sent out a code, and got a new dealership's great. Came out, changed the battery in the driveway. But it was one of those situations when they had that little bad batch of regular batteries, right? Um, Not Ford's fault. That was a supplier thing. But looking at the transmissions, let's see, the 2.5 on the engine on the hybrid and the 2.0. Are, you are a hybrid fan, right? I mean, is that what you want in this
I
unibody
am.
small compact truck?
I am, and I'm happy that they did beef up the transmission on the hybrid to allow for the all-wheel drive because, like I said back in October, uh, 2021 or thereabouts, I did mention, and it was truly the case, the transmission that was on the hybrid back then wasn't capable of adding all-wheel drive. It needed to be not modified, but beefed up. It needed different internals, so a little swap around, I guess, of parts. What exactly those parts are, I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm a big fan of hybrid. That's how I would go. And with our northern snowy, icy climate, I definitely would go all-wheel drive. I love the fact that it's an intelligent all-wheel drive system. But what's very interesting is both on the Lobo model as well as the Tremor model, you've got the torque vectoring. So the rear differential has torque vectoring, so it can really play around with the power that it's sending
Yep.
to the rear wheels, and that's really going to help in snowy, sandy, or muddy conditions. So that's definitely something worth considering. But it is very important to remember that the Tremor model only tows 2,000 pounds. For now, Ford is really focusing the Tremor model on off-roading. You could always get, an FX4 with, should be able to get FX4 with 4K. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll get to that when we're in the order guide. But really, what's on my mind and what I want to get out is I think it's amazing to have a hybrid, the 2.5 liter hybrid with its 191 horsepower and 100 and roughly 66 pound-feet of torque. That does not include, I do want to stress, that does not include the torque coming from the electric motor because they don't include it because the torque coming from the electric motor isn't always there. If the battery's
Mm.
low, you're getting zero torque from the electric motor because the electric motor won't be functioning if the battery is currently low. What do you need to charge the battery? You just need to go down a hill. You need to let go of that accelerator and deaccelerate, and that's what charges that battery. But if you've been
Yep.
hard on the pedal and going uphill for a while, or just really hard between stop signs, that battery could be low. And if that battery's low, you get zero torque. But I would
Hey,
assume
John,
that we're getting, yes, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead and finish, and
No
then
worries.
I got
I was
to.
just gonna say that there's a good at least 50 pound feet of torque coming from that electric motor. I can tell you
Right.
that just from what I know about electric motors. They're really good in torque. They're not so great when it comes to horsepower. As a general rule of thumb, they're all much better in torque than horsepower. But I've also driven. We had the hybrid, and I can tell you that it's got definitely has more than 166 pound-feet of torque. It felt more. It felt actually a lot like the EcoBoost when the battery is ready. So yeah, Dwayne, sorry,
Yeah.
go right ahead.
Speaking about, well, someone had a comment here. I want to answer it, but on the battery, 94 kilowatt, I guess 173 pounds, by the way.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, 173-pound battery peak. So,
Okay, peak.
so
So
I guess,
when it has a charge, a
right.
full charge.
Yep. So you have there's a comment here. Is it Ed? Duran, no, I can't hardly see it. Sorry if your name's Ed. My glasses here. I can't. You said where is the build it page? Mine still says get updates. What you do is when you go to Ford.com, click on trucks, and you'll see the trucks that are available now. If you click on future vehicles, it's a little tab on the left hand side. It'll show the Maverick and right next to the GTD. So too bad we can't order one of those tomorrow. But if you go over to Ford.com, that's where you'll find that. By the way,
So
and you
I'll
have to.
do actually a quick run through of what that would look like. So no matter what Ford build price you get to, like I picked the first one offered, it's an F-150. You click over vehicles on the top left, which is probably inverse, so top right here, but it's top left when it's on your screen and you're looking at it. And you need to go to future vehicles. So you scroll down here, future vehicles, click it right there, and you got the Maverick. Let's hope this goes from future vehicles to vehicles we can actually count soon, but it could take in
Yeah.
Canada, in on the French side, it could take 3, 4 months. I've seen as bad as 3, 4 months, but they're better now that they know more people are doing things online. But there's your Lobo interior. That's your Lobo look with the grill that instead of horizontal lines has vertical lines. You've got your new logo there in black. If you want to see what that looks like, go check out the 2024 F-150s. It's the
Yep.
new logo from the 2024 F-150s. So they've got a nice little video there. Then down here, it's neat. They've got a nice little build and price logo. I'll click on that, and they're probably going to say, "Well, go build yourself a Oh, hello! It's up.
Yeah.
Look at that.
No. Yeah. You just have to. For some reason, you have to go to future vehicles. I did the same thing with the Mustangs, and there it is. You look, I love it. Hey,
Thank you. No one
Johnny,
at work could
what?
find it today.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about? And we're skipping around on this. I know quite a bit. You had some people that just do not like the new front end, right? The front, I guess, the front fascia above the bumper, the upper bumper area. So one thing I made a note here. It hit me the other day. There's a continuity in design, even though this doesn't look just like the 150 and the 250 and the Expeditions. You kind of get the sense that they're almost going for that C clamp LED,
Yep.
but when you see this, it just fits in with the other front ends that Ford has. I think that's something to be said. Also, aerodynamics plays a lot, I'm sure, into this design. So,
Sorry, I don't mean to be throwing out any hand symbols that carry meaning there. That was accidental because when I point with
oh,
one hand, I do this because but that's
yeah,
not
yeah,
that's an accidental.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
So here,
there you go. There you go, like that.
yeah, here across here, for me it kind of looks like symbol of a bull. Like if you look at the
Yeah,
lines, this kind of looks like a downwards horn, and then you've got the head. So I really like this symbol. I think it looks pretty cool. I don't think The Rock has grounds to sue, but or Dwayne Johnson. But we've got prices here. We've got the XL at 26,295 as a starting price. You can head over. Also, you look at the XLT here, 28,795. And what do we get for the main part? Really nice wheels added on because the
right.
XL is an incredible bargain now. And of course, XLT does have the keyless entry and push button, which might convince people to get in. I personally really like push button and I really like keyless. The reason is when it's cold out, we have big mitts and gloves here in the winter, and it gets extremely cold. So we don't like taking off our hand protection, risking that frostbite just to go dig around in your pocket to pull out the key to press the button to get in. Of course, you can have Ford Pass on all these vehicles, but I don't know. Let's see here. 28,795, 26,295. Would you pay the extra dollars for your company?
Um, Normally no, but because I could also YouTube it to pieces, probably would make it worth it, you know. But I think just in a normal, I don't know if I would or not, Johnny. That's a good question. I think, you know, of course, the XL is considered our fleet vehicle type stuff if we were to buy one. XL, I don't know what package 100A, 101A, 102A. By the way, in Peugeot said Duane has GTD money in hand. He means Duane the Rock Johnson, not this Duane. So
For sure.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? What would you do?
I'm
Would you
I
spend the
think
money? I
wheels,
mean,
I don't have big money, but I have enough money to prefer style. And I
yeah.
like Marie Happy, and she's all into the design. Going to be starting up like an interior design, exterior design company because we
Oh
can't
wow.
find. Yeah, we can't find. In French, it's a garderie, a place to take care of our child, because it's Canada and
Yep.
politics messed that all up. But anyways, we can't
Yeah.
even in the private sector, we can't get a place there. It's apparently it's all sold out for when it comes to
Wow.
taking care of kids. So she's
Wow.
gone forward and saying that she'd like to, I guess she'll stay, almost certainly stay home and start a design business. So I think it's, of course you can, if I bought an XL, I would definitely consider it because I'd have to I'd consider it if I didn't like the wheels on the XLT. That's what it really boils down to,
Yeah,
because
I got you.
wheels make or break a vehicle. You take, you know, any vehicle, a Porsche 911, you take a Ferrari, put ugly wheels on it, it throws everything off. And a 911
Yeah.
or a Ferrari, a Mustang, the new Mustang with the wrong wheels would look garbage. So I
Well,
would,
look
if
at the
I got it,
150, the 150s with the
yeah,
Steelies. If you
awful.
simply take that truck and put some nice wheels and tires on it, totally different vehicle.
It looks $20,000 more expensive, and
Sure.
that's the thing. Ford and every automobile company knows this, so they know that for the difference of what is that, $2,500? Yes, you can buy wheels for less than $2,500. But I like the whole idea, resale value. I like the keyless entry. I love the push button. So I'd either spruce up an XL and throw on incredible wheels. But the problem is I like the wheels on the XLT and I want keyless entry and I want push button. So I would get an XLT. I think that was smart of Ford. In the past, the Maverick kind of felt like, here, spend more money to not get ugly wheels. And I know some people love the Steelies, and
Yeah.
that's great. It's important to value and appreciate people's differences, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with everyone.
Well,
So,
and think about this too. When you asked me earlier, let me answer it this way, I should say, because I was talking about filming it with YouTube. So if it's my vehicle, I want to have a different presence, you know, as the first contact that a client may see,
yeah,
or I just like nice stuff. If it's a truck that's going directly into service, then it's just going to have the steelies on it. That's all there is to it. Not unless there was just some crazy deal that you just couldn't refuse. And sometimes those show up. It wouldn't be now with the Maverick, of course, with it being new and hot. But when you have a model that's not, it's lost its flair, it's not new
yeah,
anymore. Sometimes you can get an XLT for XL money if it's sitting on the lot long enough and all that.
yeah. And well, speak of wheels, you look at a Bronco Big Bend, if you don't change out the wheels and you park it beside a wild track or any Sasquatch, well, the wheels and of course, in that case, the tires really just change the entire presence that the vehicle has. Now, if we go over to a Lariat, we're at 36,735. That's that's a big price drop. I would have a lot of trouble spending the extra money. And I guess if you've got money and you want to flex it, that is a nice flex. You know the difference?
Yeah.
If you look at the XLT and they're good quality headlights, and it's a nice grill and it's a nice lower bumper here. Nothing wrong with it. The wheels are very nice, but then you go to a Lariat. You have 19-inch wheels looking really good. Big wheels. I'm still into this. I don't miss my 1972 Plymouth Satellite that had from factory 14-inch wheels. I don't miss those.
Right. Right.
19 looks or 16s, I think on my 85 Camaro or Firebird it was. I really don't miss small wheels. I think these 19 inches on the Lariat, good on Ford, because previously I felt like, well, why go Lariat? It's just an XLT with a nicer interior. And in that case, why not just, there's a few companies, but I really like one company in particular, not a paid promotion, but cat skin. You can cat skin, and it's not actual cat skins.
Right.
So don't unsubscribe because you think I'm a cat hater here. I don't like cats, but I wouldn't use their skins for seats. But it's the company's called Catskins with a K. So don't kill me here,
Don't
YouTube.
don't
Yeah,
unsubscribe. Hey,
yeah,
Johnny, what do you think about that? We're talking about wheels. Getting back to that. I'm sorry. I know we're kind of like across the board here,
no worries.
but do you think the 19-inch wheels, is that just for design or improvement to add something different? Or is there more competition in the marketplace for manufacturers to buy 17 and 18-inch wheels? Tires, for example. Do you think that there's a shortage on certain size tires?
19 is actually, you bring up a great point, and if I can elaborate, because
Yeah.
often planning in tires and tire sizes and winter tires, summer tires, and all this. And I'm not my dealership's tire specialist. Obviously, we kind of stole from another dealership a real tire specialist, and I really appreciate him. He's very professional, and I've learned a lot from him. But when it comes down to it, 19-inch is a bad tire size to replace. But don't be afraid of 20-inch. 20-inch on F-150s has 20-inch has become so common that there's very little price difference between an 18-inch and a 20-inch tire. But 19s, and I've personally experienced this with Mustangs, your 18-inch Mustang tire, I'm going to say cost next to nothing, but it's an expression. It's just significantly more expensive to go to 19-inch because it's a very rare tire size, but it looks very good. Mind you, for expense wise, tire replacement, getting an XLT and throwing on 20 inches, if you can find some way to make it fit, maybe you need a 2-inch leveling kit probably in the front. Actually, I can almost guarantee you need a good 2-inch leveling kit on the front of this. But
Right.
throwing on 20s would be actually a less, obviously it'll cost less because we have roughly $8,000 difference between these two models. But that would be my advice, unless you're really into, and I do love the new Lariat interior. And this color, by the way, is a 1 year only color. So if you want eruption green on a Maverick, which is I think Duane and I's favorite color, because
Yeah, I
you
like
can
it.
say, who here, raise your hand if you've got eruption green Bronco. Well,
It's right here. We
you sold me, buddy. We went
Yeah.
beaching together, driving on the beach, and I was like, oh man, I've got to have that color.
And there's nothing like it when it's clean. I know you just did the ceramic coating on yours. When it's clean and it's in the bright sun, it's just a rich, rich color. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you see what Ford's you see on the build and price, right? They have the eruption green. I mean, that's the color for this year. That's the new color. Hey, do we want to stay on colors for new colors for this year?
Yeah,
Looks
go ahead. Why
like
don't you list
looks
list them
looks
off, my
so
friend?
eruption green. We talked about that. Space white metallic, ruby red. That's the one. Ruby red metallic.
Ooh,
That was on Tim's show last night. There was a lot of comments about that.
ruby red is beautiful. We've seen it on the
Velocity
F-150 for a
blue.
year.
Yep. So velocity blue, ruby red, space white metallic, eruption green. New for this year. Deleted colors: Atlas blue, cactus gray, hot pepper red metallic, iconic silver. And I would say that iconic silver, which I like it, and cactus gray, probably two colors that is just on everything. Um,
Yeah,
what is the color on the F-150 that looks close to cactus gray? Uh,
avalanche. It's the same.
Avalanche. Yeah.
It's within the same. Is it called tonality when we're talking about like depth of color, whether something is a light or a
Right.
dark shade? Is that tonality? Either way,
Yep.
the you could say that the depth or the lightness and darkness of a color is similar between avalanche and cactus gray, but cactus gray, sorry, yeah, it's called cactus gray, but at least, and I'm horrifically colorblind according to my eye doctor, but I think cactus gray has a bit of green in it, whereas
It does.
avalanche is primer covered in a heck of a lot of clear coat. It's
Clear coat.
really shiny clear coat. If it looks
Well,
like wet clear
I'm
coat with a wet primer with a clear coat, if that makes
well,
any
yeah.
sense.
Well, I'm glad you see a hint of green in cactus gray because I thought there was something wrong with my eyes because one day I saw a Bronco and I said there's I think there was some green there and then I was wondering, well, is it the trees around it kind of reflecting into it? I didn't know, uh,
Well, you
but
saw
I
my
think
Bronco
that
on the beach, right? There's no trees, and it still looked like it had a hint of green to it.
yeah, it did. So eruption. Let's. Sorry, Atlas blue. I think that's a nice color, but I think Atlas blue. I really struggled with when I was picking a Bronco. I think it was Atlas blue. No, it wasn't Atlas blue. It was Mustang, the Atlas blue that we were looking at. Um, actually, the first. I think it was the first order that went in. I think it was Atlas blue, Johnny, and then changed the grabber. But because Atlas is that I don't know. I think it's like any other color, other than white or black. Those two colors work on any vehicle, but I think certain colors look better on certain vehicles, of course.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have
Let's see.
how about new
In ter-
colors?
well, that's we're just talking eruption green,
Yeah.
space white. I wonder how much different space white is than what's the big fleet color?
Oxford
Uh,
white.
Oxford white. Yep. Yeah, you know all those colors. The other new color, like we were just talking about, ruby red and velocity blue. That ruby red, I think, is going to show up on the on the 25 Bronco. Honestly.
I I really hope so. Ruby red, I think. I don't like ruby red. Well, I mean, I'm torn. Ruby red on an F-150, I like it and I don't like it because I feel it's the perfect color for something that's kinda out there, something
Yep.
special, a Mustang. And I'm sorry, Ford F-150s, I think, are special, but they're not special in that, special monster truck kind of way or special race car kind of way or sports car, muscle car. So the Mustang looks great in ruby red. I love it. It looks it's a great color. I think it's going to be a great color for the Bronco because I think the Bronco looks best in toy colors. I think it's, you know, I don't see a lot of people going wild for a white Bronco or a black Bronco. When you've got these like special toys or special vehicles,
Right.
I think you need a special color that pops. I find when I see a
Sure.
white or a black Ferrari, for example, I find like, oh, that's sad. They took a really exciting car and they kind of made it more, they
Put it.
tuned it.
Yeah.
They put a leash
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Put it. Well, I look at so white Bronco Raptor with the graphics. I think looks good. I like that black and white combination. That mix there is pretty
Yeah,
cool. But I would say that a standard Bronco, I'm with you. Yeah, the white, it's nice. I tell you what looks better on an Outer Banks. Combination of the wheels with a little bit of shine
yeah.
and the painted fender wells, I think looks very rich there. But if you put it on another model, and it looks good. Don't get me wrong. If you have one, don't hate me. But I think, but there again, that's why Ford has all they have these colors because we all, thank goodness, don't like the same color.
No, that's right, and I'm quite fond of a white Bronco if you've got the black top, because then it
Yep.
really the top and the wheels and on top, black wheels, wow, then it really pops, and then maybe, a black Wild Track decal on the hood, and then you've really got me. I just find white needs Ferraris never really have decals on them, so it
Yeah,
works for the Bronco because you're kind of two-toning it and you're making other colors pop. But I'm gonna stop before people think that I'm the
yeah,
designer here in the family over at Johnny's Car
yeah.
Care and Reviews.
All right, 13.2-inch landscape center screen. So they landscape because obviously it's not the center stack type thing. Uh, I don't know what your thoughts are on the landscape design of a 13.2 and also the 8-inch digital cluster. I guess now that's standard.
Very surprising. It makes it really an XL high end. If we recall prior, when you
Sure.
wanted that digital cluster, you went up to either an XLT FX4 or you
Right.
paid big old lariat money. What's the expression? Money banks, daddy money banks, or something.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Money bag.
money bags, thank you.
There you
Daddy
go.
money bags there with the lariat and nice little flex getting the most equipped model. I've got nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a fan of capitalism, making money and spending money,
That's
but
right.
it's great that now they're offering it on the XL. And I know there's a lot of complaints in the community about that XL price, 34,500 Canadian dollars, $26,295, and that's without transport and handling of roughly 22, almost $2,300. But and I know a lot of people don't care about the extras. They want a key, you turn and you have a vehicle you can drive. But what I am happy about, when I go out and buy hamburgers or steak, real food, none of this processed crap at the grocery store. But when I actually buy real food at the grocery store, it's doubled or tripled in price from 4 years ago. And I'm not getting any extra steak. The steak isn't
Oh no.
special. It's not extra special compared to what it was in 2021. They're not feeding it better minerals and food so that the steak is healthier for me. It's
That's right.
still steak. And if you like bags of chips, well, the bag of chip doubled in price as well. So at least with the Maverick, Ford, I know there's a lot of complaints out there, but I'm going to stick up for Ford on this one. Sometimes, I complain when there's room for complaint, but I do like that while they've increased the price, I got to say, worldwide, everything's increased. It costs me more money to go to the washroom because toilet paper even costs more. It hasn't changed either. And at the end of the day, at least Ford is giving us a few extra squares with that toilet paper roll. We've got our 18-inch digital cluster screen that you had to
Yeah.
be big old money banks to get it, and now we've got it. So
Yeah,
there is a lot more.
they're throwing you like that what do they call it, the olive branch, or just hey, come on. But
I like that.
no, but I yeah, and here's the other thing too. You're talking about inflation, really prices increasing, and all the chaos we've got going on. Housing is terrible. So if you think about, and just don't get me started on why housing is. That's a whole show by itself.
Oh
But
yeah, don't get me started either.
yeah, yeah, because here's the thing. If you look at someone wants a new vehicle, they want something reliable, good high MPGs. They want something that is usable, like a Maverick. I mean, let's face it. If you want a car, but sometimes need a truck, it's perfect. Um,
That's well said.
so
Yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely.
so you have that keep it keep it affordable because you are now hedging against every other model that has gone up 60, 70, $80,000, $110,000 for some of these vehicles. And at the exact same time, you're paying double of what you were for a house maybe 6 years ago. And some obvious real estate's local, so it depends on where you are. But there's some in our area, houses have gone up 50% or even 100% in just a few years. So something's got to give. And I think Ford with this one is really going to take more market share because, prices have been high for a while, but savings
Oh
accounts
yeah.
are trickling down to almost nothing. You're going to need a new vehicle. Suddenly the Maverick starts checking more of the boxes than it already did.
Absolutely. And at a certain point, creditors, money can only be lent to a certain point unless you're an irresponsible government. If you're an irresponsible government, you can print money to no end, but then you make
Right.
everyone poorer through inflation. And it's not, a possible correlation. It's direct. Governments that,
It's,
and this goes back to,
yep.
kings in Britain. If they removed metal from the silver coins, well, then they were increasing inflation in a very tangible, physical, visual way. the money pieces, literally the kings. How we got the little notches in money is because you had a British king that was actually, they used to not have notches. He created the notches to cut out, well, not him personally, but his lackeys, to cut out mineral silver from the coin to then make more coins with it. And then
Hmm.
you could actually see the inflation and you knew exactly who to blame. Nowadays, well, inflation is created from, promises made and money being sent all over, essentially money printing when you spend more money than you actually have. But governments can do this to no end until they maybe one day crash the system. Whereas to your point, at a certain point, you can only lend so much money. And at a certain
Right.
point, you have to change vehicles. There's always people changing, going from one Maverick into another Maverick because, well, they can. And it's great if you can. But there's going to be people
Right.
that have 10 and 15-year-old vehicles that are starting to be forced to change vehicles. And this Maverick, even though the price has gone up,
Yeah.
is going to bring in a lot of people from everywhere.
Well,
And the
this
truck
one to
makes
get
sense.
yeah, this one to get somebody going, but idle cash is trash, right? So money works really when there's velocity to it in the economy, moving around, right? We're buying vehicles, selling vehicles, building houses, selling houses. That's what people take advantage of. And I think what's happening is that we're finally getting to a point where if you just don't have any more, what you have to protect for when you need it, and therefore it becomes idle. And then an idle cash is just not doing anything for the economy. So, but
And it's worth less because as
sure,
time proceeds with
yep,
over government overspending, if you've got $100,000 in the bank today, it's going to be worth half that. At this rate, it'll be worth half that in only 10 years. But what is
no,
nice
and
is Ford is giving us extra.
sure, yeah,
I love this screen. If you're wondering, if you're having doubts and you say it's too big or it's too uptight, it's too at the wrong angle, go sit in Escape. The Escape, I love
right,
how the screen is placed. You don't have glare, and the system is really quick. You press on it, and it's instant, which is not a rarity, but not all touchscreen systems on the market work that way. So it's instant touch, instant gratification. It gives you what you want. It's very user friendly, and well. And here, I'm going to give a little love hate here. My Lightning Lariat, I did not find the touchscreen was user friendly. It took me about 6, 7 months before I could say I'm comfortable with this touchscreen and knowing, and I've now memorized where things are. Whereas the
right.
Sync 4 is intuitive. Everything just makes sense. It's where you don't have to memorize it because it's just where you would naturally think it to be. So huge kudos to Ford with how this system works. It's nice. I'm sorry for folks that wanted their chicken nugget cubby. Your chicken nugget dipping sauce cubby is all gone, but you've got such a better screen
Yeah,
and
you can actually see
wireless.
it.
You can actually see it, and wirelessly, the backup camera is amazing. I've used these on Escapes. Your phone Sync 4 means that wirelessly, you don't have to plug in, but wirelessly, you've got whether it's Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you're going to have your Google Maps and all this. All your maps, all your information is going to go right to that screen really quickly and really well.
Hey, by the way, Johnny, before what I want to say something, and then about the technology. See to the right of the 13.2-inch infotainment screen. That's a continuity in design as well. See that part of the dash there? For
Oh,
some
yeah,
reason,
yeah.
that's a throwback. It's the Mustang has it, the F-150 has it again. Or has it again, has it, now. Um, I kind of like that design, and I like how they're keeping that similar throughout the different trucks, and even in the car, because like I said, the Mustang is there. What I was going to say on the technology side, you were mentioning to me that sometimes people have a problem with some of the technology in any vehicle, and the secret once in a while is turn your phone off, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm happy you caught that in several of my episodes. It's a
Yeah, I
reoccurring
did.
theme, I guess, here at Johnny's Car Care and Reviews.
I
Yes,
watch your
often.
videos.
Thank you. Often people will have problems and they'll actually go into the dealership and it can kind of skew that whole reliability and quality consumer
Right.
reports, testings. because even they themselves have to probably legally say where the majority, or maybe they're just nice. They say, well, the majority of actual problems come from technology. I can tell you over 90% of the time, it's that people haven't turned off their phone in a while, or they don't realize it, but they can have sometimes 100 tabs open on the internet. At that point,
Hmm.
the basically your phone is the equivalent of a very drunk individual. You can't expect very much from them. They'll go really, really slowly, and you're lucky if you can, just get them to walk in one direction. Well, your phone's the same way. If it's got its concentration on 100 different tabs, it's not going to go ahead and connect to your vehicle.
Yeah, and Ford Pass Connect 5G. This is what I like. 5G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot connects up to 10 devices. That's pretty impressive. And the question is, if you had 10 devices, obviously it's going to slow down the data, but still, you theoretically 10 devices could be interacting and working together with this. So that's pretty cool. I do like the over-the-air update now. I think that we get.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you have a vehicle with over-the-air update, do not forget to go in and set the time when it over updates.
Yes.
Becky was stranded one day because it was 2 in the afternoon. So we all have them set for a particular day during the week, about 1 or 2 a.m.
Smart. Very, very, very good advice. We were on vacation in Florida, and you don't want to miss a day at the beach because your vehicle
Yeah.
gets stuck in this update mode. And thankfully, the vehicle actually asked me, "Well, what time do you want to set this at?" So I was very careful to put it at 2 a.m. and not 2 p.m. And also to not set it at 8 a.m. when we would be
Yep.
trying to get out to the beach and get down into the Keys. So we've got the location of the push button right down here. And a lot of comments that people say, "Oh, too bad there's no stick shift." Yes, it continues to be the dial. So you've got
Hmm.
the rotary dial to
Yep.
your right around your thigh, mid thigh level, and that's how you're going to be changing gears on this.
Yeah.
Now, for pricing. Well, before we get to pricing, I just want to talk about the incredible value of the XL. Other than the rims being, I think deliberately a little more ordinary, the XL continues to be the big model that people want to order. So if you're ordering this, if you're watching this and you're not within the first few weeks of August 1st when you can start ordering this, I'd say getting an XL might be tough because year after year, people have really zoned in and have really tried to pick up the XL, and that makes it that the demand is much higher than the supply. Getting an XL is slower for that reason. Hopefully, your dealer will be honest with you. Ask your dealer, do you have any Ford Maverick allocations left? Because some dealers might sell out their entire year's allocations in the first 2 weeks. So if you're week three, if you're
Yep.
end of September or end of August or early September, many dealers will be all sold out. So ask them what their allocations are because you want to make sure
And
they still have
still taking the
allocations.
orders though. And still taking the orders though.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Some years Ford has basically shut things down, saying, "Look, we're not taking orders anymore because there's just way too many in the system." But the XL is a great value. It's now standard with the 2.5-liter hybrid. It's standard with the hybrid front-wheel drive system. The all-wheel drive is that $2,500 option that we've talked about. You've got XL 100A, 101A, 102A on the build and price. You can work through what those options are. So this is the major product changes. The XLT is now available as a 300, a 301, and 302, very much like an XL F-150 XLT. You've got the Lobo as a 702, and that's its code, its ordering code, its late availability. So expect that to be as early as sort of mid-cycle. So if they start actually producing these in November, sort of the midpoint of production is going to be roughly 6 months later. So expect it to start getting built after that 6 month period. So you're looking at about April or later. And you've got the tremor code, ordering code 602A. So as a 602A, we can see that it's above a Lariat. So some people are asking, the F-150, you sort of have an XLT
Hmm.
tremor. So it's a
Right.
cloth tremor, and it's half leather, half cloth, and that's your XLT beefed up. So it's basically an XLT plus 302 sport model plus about $5,000. Well, here what you have is it's just a Tremor 602. The code indicates that this is just a Lariat plus Tremor. And probably we'll look at pricing after, but probably roughly about 5,000 more than your mid equipped Lariat. We'll get back to pricing in just a minute. All-wheel drive, we've mentioned that it's the front-wheel drive that's standard. All-wheel drive is going to be about $2,500 more because I'm working with Canadian pricing. And deleted 2-liter front-wheel drive, huge change, folks, to the 2025 Ford Maverick. It's gone. That front-wheel drive EcoBoost is gone. You got to get hybrid if you want front-wheel drive. New, we've talked about it, 19-inch aluminum wheels on the Lariat as standard. Black, if you have the black appearance package, so you have to spend money if you want them black for the Lariats 19 inches. Deleted, the 17-inch, well, deleted. We'll not go through that because, well, you'll see it when you go to build and price it. New colors, you talked about that, Duane, so that's great. We
Yep.
talked about the 13.2-inch landscape center screen, which I can promise people, well, I love it, and I think you should all give it a try. Check it out in Escape, see if you love it when you go to order yours. And you've got the 8-inch digital cluster that we showed in the background here for a wee bit. But new intelligent access with push button start included, and approach detection. So the vehicle knows that you're getting close and you have to have the key on you and be close to the vehicle for it to unlock. But that's standard on the XLT. That's pretty huge for us who have cold climates. Now, Ford Co-Pilot 360. It says optional on XL and XLT, right from the order guide, and that will get people thinking you have to spend money to get that extra safety feature. And this is a big part of the Don't Be Fooled to this live with Duane from Driven Wild Outdoors. That is some confusing baloney. It's some malarkey because you go down to the XL series right here in the order guide, and right here, even here, let's get to it. Ford
Hey,
Co-Pilot 360 technology. It's you have standard auto LED high beam. So even the XL has LED lights. A lot of
yep.
companies are going to make you pay a lot of extra money for the LED lights, but it's auto high beams. That means it's daytime and nighttime lights that are automatic, but even at night, low and high, meaning basically you don't ever have to touch your lights again. You won't be that annoying BMW driver blinding everyone. You've got it right here. Lane keeping aid. That doesn't keep you in the middle of the lane. It helps you as you start to go out of the lines. It's going to
Yeah.
let you know. And you got the pre-collision assist with automatic emergency braking. Pre-collision assist means it will brake up to about 38 kilometers an hour. So if you're doing 50, you're going to hit that thing at about, if my math is right, 12 kilometers an hour. And I'm sorry, I'm talking kilometers an hour. 50 kilometers an hour is 35 miles per hour. And you'll hit it up at about 8 miles per hour. If you don't touch anything at all, the vehicle will brake for itself.
Hey, Johnny, interesting. I'm going through the build and price right now. And sorry, everyone watching. I'm looking off to my left because I'm looking at my laptop here. So I'm not trying to be rude. Um, I'm not watching a rerun of something over here on the side. But look, changes required. When you add the 4K towing, you have to add the Ford Co-Pilot 360 in an XL. I'm building an XL, by the way. So
Yes.
I think what happens is when you play around with this build and price, you'll get to see the different groups, options, and then the modifications you have to make to maybe previous selections that you made. So it's that work in progress. If you've done a build and price, it's the same. It's just a little bit different.
And a little key, I really like how you brought up the point. I wanted to mention it tonight, and I completely forgot. 4K tow package, whether it's hybrid that can tow 4,000 pounds now or EcoBoost, yes, you absolutely need to, it's required, the Ford Co-Pilot 360. However, what's funny is here on the order guide, it's supposed to be, it looks like it's optional, the Ford Co-Pilot 360, but Here's the trick. It's because now the Ford Co-Pilot 360 full package, you get a partial package, but the full package is AEB oncoming, auto high beams, which the auto high beams has a nice little one indicator beside it. You go down to the
Right.
bottom, one says it's standard. So you get the auto high beam standard. It gets but what you have extra, if you pay for the Co-Pilot 360, the full package, you get that cross traffic brake assist, you get evasive steering assist, lane keeping system, lane keeping alert, but you do get lane keeping aid, meaning it'll help bring you back a little bit of assistance with the steering wheel. You get driver alert, intersection assist, pre-collision assist with automatic emergency braking, but the number one pops up again, meaning it's standard. Pedestrian detection, forward collision warning, dynamic brake support, that's all standard. The rear view camera, of course, is standard. But what's tough is if we go back to the build-in price, it kind of looks like if you want Copilot, they just say here, if you want Copilot 360, spend this much more. But do know that you have those standard equipments that we mentioned, the auto high beams, the rear view camera. So you do, and the lane keeping assist. You do have, and the prepping of the brakes before an accident and the braking up to 38 kilometers an hour, which is roughly about 28 miles per hour.
Yeah, I forget the term too. Preloading or something.
It's pre-collision
Uh,
assist.
there you go. So here's the one thing I'll tell you too. At least on the XL, as you're going through the building price, and I would highly recommend you go through it. As you get down through the big stuff, what drivetrain do you want and towing, things like that. There are just a ton of options. Block heater, floor liners, sun blinds, hood deflectors, um, uh, hood and fender protectant, roadside kit, first aid kit. I mean, they've really made this. They've made it so that you can add a lot of little things to your order. It's not like the Ranger Raptor where there was maybe two things you could select. Everything else is standard. Um, I'm I'm just trying to get down to where, let's see, all-wheel drive to the EcoBoost engine. I think I've gone through this kind of quick, Johnny. I may have messed it up, but basically, I'm about $31,000 on an XL building it the way I wanted to.
That's actually, yeah, let's check it out right here on my screen. We've got so just quick run through XLT 28,795, Lariat 36,735, Tremor, not that much more to get that torque vectoring rear differential, meaning a lot better at sand, snow, mud, 39,795, and the Lobo also having the torque vectoring in the back, because torque vectoring is great in bad conditions. It's also great in extreme conditions. So when you're driving
Yep.
really quickly through a corner, having torque vectoring is an advantage. So it gets torque vectoring as well at 40,495. Of course, for both the Tremor and the Lobo, it's all about off-roading performance or street performance, so no hybrid engine. Now let's head over to the XLT, start our build, watch it load up. You can pick out your colors here. Obviously, I know I'm going to be doing a build and price on at least one, if not all of these models. Quick little, 15-minute videos where we cover each model. Duane might very well do it as well.
I had planned on it.
And we've got the different colors here. You can even have the roof painted black because the black appearance package, interesting. If ever you don't know what's going on here, you click on something, you think it's going to be one price, pay attention, it might drastically upgrade, because here we're on a front wheel drive and they're saying, whoa, no, we're removing your front wheel drive. So then you're paying for all wheel drive and the black appearance package. But there's these little eyes on the screen. You can always click those and get a full rundown. So I click the little eye, you get a full rundown of what your black appearance package is. It's the 19-inch black aluminum wheels. They talk about the tires, the black edition hood decal, the black edition Ford logo, the front and back, painted roof. I think that's neat. A black painted roof looks really sharp, especially on your more classic, not out there colors, such as, white. painted mirrors, seats, black seats, and interior accents. So that is, I think, something definitely worth considering. But yeah, so what would you, Dwayne, what would you add to your XLT?
Well, I'm not in that building price right now, but I'm definitely doing the 4K towing. I'm going to add a block heater. Not that I really need it in my area, but I mean, you do for sure. But like just in case, $190 add on there. I'm going to add some of the accessories, cross rails for the bed of the truck. But I think as far as functional, it's going to be all-wheel drive hybrid with 4K towing. That's sort of
Great.
the meat and the potatoes, and then accessorize it from there. Um, here you were just talking about the blackout package and the black roof. Velocity Blue, I'm looking at this, what they have in the building price, the Lobo. So it's Velocity Blue with that black roof on that. That really looks good together. I think that gloss black and that blue together looks good.
Let's try that. The black appearance package is $1,604. If ever you're wondering, again, you hit the little I at the end of the offering. They'll give you the full rundown. So black appearance package. I like the sound of that. I want to check it out with the different colors.
Yeah, I'm working on the getting to that as well.
And the black roof didn't come out there very well, and it actually doesn't look like it came out at all. So the building price will get upgraded, obviously, to add the black roof. But the wheels
Yep.
are very nice. The 19-inch wheels are very nice. I'd be tempted by the FX4 package for the extra cooling. I agree with you on the 4K. Always better to have it than to wish you had had it.
Sure. I mean, and it's not the end of the world when it comes to it. Hey, one thing, Johnny, I do like that Ford did is they didn't give us a color you had to pay extra for.
Yeah, most of the colors we don't have to pay extra for, and it's not Mach E or Lincoln pricing when it comes to colors,
Yeah.
$800 or $900. The
Yeah,
colors that do cost more cost 495. I find that's
sure.
reasonable because red paint does cost more.
Right. And I
So
think the
let's see.
Azure Gray was one of them.
Yeah, ruby red.
Obviously not on the Maverick, but I mean, just see.
Yeah.
If you want to see what the black top looks like, just when you go to the building price, go all the way over to the right and go to the Lobo, and then I'll show you a picture of it.
Oh, of course. Yes, 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 yes. So our
Hey,
summary on this, we've kind of built it together, and Azure Gray on the Lightning was an $800 option. It's neat that it's 495 on the Maverick,
oh,
so they're not going out of the way to bleed the consumer here. But we are at a build of 36,290. There you go.
how what did it come out? 36?
36,290, and I picked the $495 color of Azure Gray, which if it was my build, I probably either end up with Ruby Red. I feel it's very much worth the 390 for the wow factor, or Velocity Blue. I the Ranger Raptor, I was thinking I'd found my truck, but the other dealer made it difficult. So we couldn't get it
I,
swapped between
I
dealers.
was Johnny. I apologize, everybody. I was wrong then because I didn't see a price on the color. But you're saying that you picked it and it charged you for it.
Yeah, yeah. Azure Gray
Okay.
is 495. Ruby Red is 390. Of course, black at Ford
Hmm.
never has a
Okay.
charge to it. Oxford White never has a charge, no matter what model you're looking at. Carbonized Gray, never a charge for any model. Desert Sand, I'm surprised. That's a nice color, and they're not charging for it. Velocity Blue, I've never seen Ford charge for that color either. Space White Metallic, not a charge, but $800 Canadian dollars to add it to have that color on the Mach E. So I think that's a nice little present there. It is a gorgeous color, and if you're wondering what it looks like, go check out uh, Mustang Mach E. We should just call it a Mach E here, but check out the Mach E. But Eruption Green, I'm not seeing a charge for the color. No, no charge for the color, and that is incredible. It is a very rich looking color. It's got like this little bronze metal flake very fine bronze metal flake within the paint. It definitely looks green, but if the sun hits it just right, you get that bronze metal flake, and it's a pretty attractive color.
Johnny, also notice on the Lobo, there's a with the 2.0, because obviously that's the only engine you can get in the Lobo. If you come over here to the Trimmer 2.0, 8-speed automatic transmission, the Lobo 7-speed. Just a
That's
notice.
a great point. That is a great point. What's going on there? The Lobo
I
has a
don't know.
special transmission.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm still searching. I mean, this is, live, right? Obviously, I'm just going through this for the first time, but I just went to the Trimmer, and it's 8-speed with the 2.0. So I'll hit another, you know, model here and see what we come up with. I
and
think
they
it
have
was
a special term for
this,
that transmission. They call it like a fast shifting transmission. From what I
right?
had in, I was going through the order guide, and actually, I'll go through the order guide with everyone here. Let's just switch over as a community. I haven't
Yeah.
closed it by accident, but let's head on over to the Lobo model. You just slide through. I got this order guide from Maverick Truck Club, so I'm not using this from my insider website
Sure.
because that would be, divulging, as it
Yeah,
says,
yeah, yeah,
confidential information. But I got this on
yeah,
Maverick Truck Club. Everyone on the internet, there's several hundred thousand. Well, everyone can get it. Anyone who has an internet access. So I'm not. I don't
yeah.
think
I mean, it's online. That's where, yeah,
I'm not the one that put it online, and it's already there. So
yep.
no, less harm, less
So
foul. But the Lobo is called 7-speed quick shift transmission. So they're calling it a quick shift transmission. I'm wondering, is it going to be is it a dual clutch? I'm very curious about what this
hmm,
transmission is.
I don't know. I'll do some research on it. I have no idea.
Like the Tremor, it has the advanced four-wheel drive with twin clutch rear drive unit, which I was calling. The result is torque vectoring, but it has electronic sound enhancement. So it's electronic sound enhancement means they're going to find a way to either pump more sound into the vehicle, or they'll have an electronic sound coming from the speakers, enhanced brakes, paddle shifters, so you can bang away with your fingers. Little.
Yep, that's right.
I'm not going to continue the phrase I had in my head, but you've got performance drive mode, performance tune steering, tune suspension. So that's the tune the suspension through the springs, shocks, and ride height. And the exterior is what they're calling 19-inch turbofan styled black painted aluminum wheel. And the black painted roof is definitely there. You've got the Maverick Lobo fender badge. I believe Lobo is wolf in Spanish. Hopefully, someone from the who speaks Spanish in the community here who can
Gray
share the
wolf,
live chat.
gray wolf meaning or something like that. Something about a wolf.
You got LED box lighting, LED projector headlamps. It is the most expensive model, so they're throwing it all at us. Painted bed rail, molding sides, painted door handles, tailgate latch, painted grille accent bar, painted rear bumper, painted rockers, unique front fascia. Well, that's pretty obvious. We see that one really quickly and easily. And it comes with Ford Co-Pilot 360, the full package. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
expensive.
So, M. Peugeot said, could it be a typo? Well, M. Peugeot, that's a good point,
Order guide, I
except
really doubt it.
except when you come over and look at it, it's 7-speed quick shift versus when you go to the other one, it's 8-speed automatic. So there's definitely, it wasn't just the one number off.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So it's a different transmission. So I mean, good point though. Think. Oh, by the way, he
Yeah,
gave you
it's
ten
worth.
dollars for super chat for bug meat money or something like that. You will have to go back and look at it.
Who gave
M
that?
Peugeot,
Oh,
M Peugeot did it.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
It's like
making
ten
sure I can
dollars.
still
Something to be
afford.
bug meat money or something. I don't know.
No, no, I understand what he's saying. We speak the same language, and steaks are going to be artificially. The prices on steaks are going to be artificially increased through a dwindling supply,
Yeah,
in order to help push bug protein.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and
We
even
all
they
want to
don't
eat
want to
bugs,
call it.
don't we?
They don't want to tell us that there's crickets and cockroaches in our food. They came up with sort of a scientific sounding name for this. And I think should be illegal. It should be illegal to deliberately mislead people.
Absolutely.
But then again, the Lobo isn't misleading us because they're saying it's straight 400 watts. Thank you very much, M. Pujo. Really appreciate it. The Tremor and the Lobo are going to have the 400-watt inverter. It's going to have the acoustic windshield. So acoustic windshield usually just means that the windshield is laminated for added sound protection. You've got the all-weather floor liners, front and rear. So
Mhm.
that's all, right here it says I. So I is included in equipment group. So they've gone off the S for standard, but they've decided to go with I. So anyways, it has all this. You're not paying extra for it with the Lobo. You've got the Bang& Olufsen sound system, the bed liner, that's a spray-in, bed tie-down locking rails with 2 locking brackets, ambient lighting. Ambient lighting always makes me think of, like, romantic lighting. I don't like the
Yeah.
term ambient lighting, but
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
right.
just standard across everyone uses it. It's
Uh,
weird. Maybe I'm the weird
um,
one.
to my comment earlier about the Lobo, the name, the meaning, Douglas Blair said wolf. So yeah, it's like gray wolf or wolf, and it's kind of. I was wondering today. It's like, where did they get that from? But anyway, all right. So Johnny, I'm gonna.
Thank you, Blair.
Yeah.
Douglas Blair.
Where do you want to kind of? Do you want to wrap this up? You want to keep? Are you
Yeah.
going to keep going? I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to
Well,
hit the road in a minute.
I can say pros to everyone. A little late. I'm at the bottom of drinking both a glass of water and a dark brown substance. So this show has to end
Substance.
also at some point because I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, no, I unfortunately I have to, believe it or not, here on the East Coast, late at 10:40 almost, I'm going to be making a phone call here in a little bit to someone. My work never ends.
My goodness! Wow.
Building well, when they're in another time zone, you're trying to be complimentary to a potential client.
Of course, of
Um,
course. We have to make
yeah,
sacrifices when
if
we
you
want
need
to
me to
get
call you
the.
at two, if you need me to call you at 2 in the morning to sell you a house, I got you.
I love the sound of that because when we want to try to have GTD money, you got to start making sacrifices at some point and giving extra service. So we can wrap it up with, hey, the Lobo is $40,495. The build and price website is up and running. So join Duane as well as me in the near future. We're going to be making mini videos. I
Yes.
know Duane's going to cover technicals better than most people on the internet. And well, I'll be going through all the nitty and gritty, doing build and prices. I want to leave with saying that I think the sweet spot is the XLT. And if you want more power like the Lobo likely will, remember, you can always get a little plug and play action on an XLT EcoBoost and kick up that power with a plug and play module that'll reprogram things, get a little more power out of it. You can always throw on a different, change the muffler, arguably more power, sometimes less actually. You can always go with an air filter. Also, do your homework. You can sometimes reduce your power, and you want to get the proper air filter so you don't get dirt and filth in the engine. But you can
Yep.
modify an XLT. I think the XLT is a fantastic price point. I love the keyless entry and push button, and I'd love it for people in the community. Think about it. Drop a comment either now in the live chat or come back after you've played around with this in a day or two and drop a comment. What's your favorite model and why? My favorite model is the XLT because of value. I feel that at 28,795, a hybrid all-wheel drive that will get 40 miles per gallon in the city is absolutely an incredible bargain. Yes, it's
Yeah.
frustrating that it's more expensive, but don't just take it out on the Maverick. Take it out on inflation. And remember who causes inflation. It's not the consumer spent buying
That's
too
right.
many toys. It's the government spending, trillions of dollars in money they don't have. They should leave. There's a time in history when if a city, because it used to be cities that sort of were like kind of like almost like countries. So cities would take care of all their own finances. And as a mayor, you had your budget to spend and it came from taxes. And if you overspent it, you had to pay it back within a year. Otherwise, they'd go hang you in the town square to kind of send out a message. I really
Hey,
don't. I'm happy we're not there anymore, but there should be
yeah,
consequences. People should get fired when they overspend their budget.
term limits would help. Term limits would help. And I think that here's the thing. Obviously, you don't talk really politics here, but it's just when if you're feeling pain, just do something different next time. You know, pick someone different because the pain. So Ford really gave a vehicle here. I mean, look, I'm a Ford fan. I'll openly admit it. I like the product. I like the company, but we're talking about all the cool stuff, all these extras, right? The 13.2 screen, the 8-inch digital cluster, the 5G. I mean, we keep going. They gave us that, and in today's world, it's a very affordable new vehicle that's also versatile. I think it's a home run.
Yeah. I think
So
it's a home run. Home run, despite a lot of comments and a little bit from what I can tell in the comments, I think maybe a bit of frustration about the price increase.
yeah,
I'm certainly happy it hasn't gone up the way groceries have gone up. And a lot of
sure,
people are comparing the price increase from that original 2021 pricing, but that
right.
original 2021 pricing made it so that there's two, you know, far more demand that Ford could handle. And the costs have gone up for Ford as well. So I still feel that this is an
Yep.
extremely reasonably priced and reasonably sized truck. I think it's a good bargain. I'd say I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's near perfect, especially with the increases in screen size, the increases in technology. And I've been seeing this now because of spy photos and talking about it through several videos. At
Right.
first, I was like, I'm having trouble handling the front end, but this front end has really grown on me. And I can actually
Yeah.
say I'm now at the stage where I can say I like the front end.
And I think that's what happens. You're used to the other one. You see this one, it's like, dang it, we all get in our trenches with what we like. But then, look, you have two choices: start liking it or don't buy it. And I mean, because that's the front end that they have. But I don't know. It's different. And so it's that little thing that keeps it fresh. It keeps it top of mind. It keeps it in the news cycle. Look at all the videos about the Maverick this week. 2 weeks ago
Incredible.
there might have been a video saying, "Hey, something's coming," or we know the launch date. But look at every one of the YouTubers, influencer, whoever, all
Everyone.
magazines. It's now top of the automotive news cycle again, and it took that away, from companies like Toyota with their engine deal. Really, a lot of people haven't even seen, but like Recaro filed bankruptcy. There's all of this stuff happening, and Ford took the, I think, the news cycle, at least for this week, with the Maverick. So good on them.
Curiosity, whatever happened to the Hyundai Santa Who?
The Santa, I don't know. The Santa who?
The Santa
I
Who.
don't.
The
Yeah, the
Santa
Santa
Who.
who? Where? No, I don't know. I thought it was going to be. Ford had all these competitors coming out. Was it Toyota going to do one?
I still
Many.
get the comment like, "Oh, this is too expensive. I'm gonna wait for a Toyota Stout and hope it's gonna be less expensive." Come on, folks.
Yeah.
Toyota is not gonna come out with a product that costs maybe less by, 500 or $900, but essentially it's gonna be the same price or more. And Toyota hasn't revealed anything about, any official plans for the Toyota Stout. So it's still quite a ways away. The Santa
Yep.
Cruz, I don't feel that the with the price, the price difference. Oh, I'm not as much of a fan. I don't like how the Santa Cruz looks. So that it's sad. I should be a little more open minded, but I have to like how something looks. And for me, a truck has to look like a truck. And the Santa Cruz, I don't know. It's not made for me.
Yeah, and the Maverick looks like a truck.
Yeah,
I mean, I would agree with that, and especially now with that front end, they're, like I said, continuity of design, dash, headlights. They're keeping it. When you see it, you know it's a Ford. You just gotta look at the name tag sometimes. Like, oh, which one's that? But Johnny, I think it's, in my humble opinion, it's a, you've been covering Maverick since the beginning. I mean, I've talked about it here and there, but I'm really new to diving in this deep with it and also looking at the hybrid technology. I just think it's awesome. So, you know what? Who knows? Maybe we'll have one in our fleet that we can then. And I did say somebody will say, "Well, you said in a video that you couldn't make the Ranger Raptor work in the fleet." That's a different vehicle, $60,000 almost for a small truck. We're talking in our world, we would be paying half of that, 31,000 or so, 30,000 for a truck that would be considered a sales vehicle, light hauling, or something like that. I could think I could make this work. I just couldn't make a $60,000 truck midsize work when I could pay 40,000 for a 150 with a Coyote. See what I mean?
Has to make
So
dollars and cents.
if you see that video, it's like, no, I'm not going back on what I said. I mean, this is another animal because of the price point. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's got incredible fuel economy. So let us know in the comments section. Are you considering a new Maverick? If so, which model? If you're not considering it, why? Is it the price? Is it the style? Is it that no one on the internet and on YouTube is covering it enough? Probably not, because like Duane said, every single YouTuber is talking about it. So folks,
yep.
thank you so much for joining us. Duane, do I sign us out or did you want to add something?
Well, I just want to say thank you for everybody in the comments. I didn't get to read all the names there. Ridge, just checked in. Four high, four low, and Peugeot, Douglas Blair. I mean, the names keep going. Johnny, you have a great audience. Great
I'm
people
lucky.
watch your. Yeah, you're
I'm
you're
very
you're
fortunate.
you're you're blessed to have a great group of people. I see them each week when you're doing your lives, and it's really awesome. And you work hard for that. So, Johnny, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming to the show. When I'm down in the States, thank you so much for being available to meet up with us. And to the community, thank you so much for all the subscribers. A huge special thank you to the members who help financially support this small family business because, you know, I have to find a way to support the liquids that keep the voice talking during the videos. But thank you so much,
All
Duane.
right.
Thank you so much for making it to the show. And I hope people will check out Duane's channel, Driven Wild Outdoors. He's a family man, he's a good man, and he's got great content. So until next time, I wish you all more
Thank
cars
you.
and more power. And well, you've got quite a few cars, so I'm not necessarily wishing you more cars and more power, but to the community members that
Yeah.
need to trade in their vehicle, I'm wishing you more cars and more power. And this, Duane, is more for you. I hope you get to put the pedal to metal to some of those incredible machines that you've got, my friend.
We're going to do it. We're going to thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. Take care,
All right. See
everybody.
you. All right. Bye.